Hey everyone, welcome to today's episode. We're back on the FeelSwell Cultures podcast. We're going to dive into all things wellness, team building, corporate retreats, and we're always bringing in the aspects of how you as a leader can elevate your team. So I'm your host, Keely Antonio. I'm the CEO of FeelSwell Experiences, and I'm excited to really be talking about a topic today that's often underestimated when it comes to corporate offsites. Outsourcing your retreat planning and thinking about what it would be like to maximize your time, your return on investment is something that I think we all need to think about, but oftentimes we don't because we're so busy just doing whatever it is, checking things off our list, and then at the end of the day, we realize how much time it actually took us. So whether you're a small team or a large organization, planning an offsite can take a lot of time. We did a study and it takes usually 50 to 100 hours to plan an offsite. Now that's just on average. It could always take more. And today I'm going to break down why more and more companies are actually choosing to outsource their planning and how that decision can really pay off in a big way for you. So first things first, let's talk about outsourced planning. What exactly do we mean by outsourced planning? It's pretty straightforward, but instead of your internal teams handling all the logistics and details of planning it in-house, you bring in professionals like people at FeelSwell Experiences to manage that entire process for you from A to Z, from concept to execution. And there was a recent report saying that 52% of companies are increasingly relying on third-party planners for corporate retreats and events. So just to give you an idea, more and more companies are realizing that it's so much easier to outsource this, especially when you have a team that's working with you that makes it really seamless. And this trend has been gaining a lot of traction for a pretty good reason. That's because when you outsource, you're actually tapping into the expertise of professionals who've done this countless times. I hear so often when I ask companies when we're in conversation and they're ready to work with us, who normally plans your offsites? And their answer is, oh, we just have someone that's very new or junior on our team, or maybe an assistant. And they find that a lot of the retreat is planned back to back to back, or maybe it wasn't as effective, or they don't have the event planning expertise. And that's really where the value comes in of bringing in professionals that have the expertise. They do this day in, day out, and can really support you in that way. So let's look at cost versus value. One of the biggest concerns for planning a retreat is the cost, because let's be honest, these retreats, they're not just something that you're, throwing out a few $100s. You're actually investing in your employees because you know that this retreat, this experience, this intentional bringing your team together is going to pay off big time. So on the surface, hiring an external planner might seem like an added expense, but the truth is, it actually often leads to a higher return on investment. So when you plan in-house, you might be underestimating a lot of the hidden costs. And this includes, the sheer amount of time your internal team has to dedicate to planning. As I mentioned before, we did a study, it was 50 to 100 hours. And not only that, but events are stressful. So the stress that builds up from managing all the moving parts, and there's that risk of overlooking important details. So when you're handling everything internally, your team is also pulled away from their core responsibilities. You have no idea how many times I hear from HR professionals or CHROs that also have to plan the retreat, how many other things they have on their list. And this could lead to, the stress of all this could lead to missed deadlines, loss of productivity, or even burnout. Now, contrast that with outsourcing with a team like ours. We streamline, like I said, the entire process, ensuring that every single thing is done efficiently and with a high degree of attention to the detail, because we know every single piece, every person that you're flying in, right? All of their dietary restrictions. I'm just thinking of little things, right, that often get overlooked. we can also, because we're in this industry and we go to all the major conferences, we're meeting with amazing outdoor hospitality venues. When it comes to us negotiating, better rates with the vendors, with the venues, and really knowing where the hidden gems are, you can look to us because we will save you money and deliver an even better experience, because this is what we do. Don't forget, we breathe this day in, day out. So when we looked at this study from Harvard Business Review, we found that companies using third-party planners experienced a 20% increase in their overall return on investment for events like offsites. We knew that we needed to bring this up because in order for you to look at how you're going to plan your next offsite, it's important to know the stats, right? What am I giving up? How much will it cost me? Where can I spend my time if I don't plan this retreat? How will my CHRO or my assistant have more time to do the things that I need, or maybe more revenue generating activities? Whatever it may be, it can really help you. And then one of the biggest ways outsourced planning adds value is really through our expertise of venue selection. So it's been pretty amazing that I've got to see some of the most amazing, beautiful places in this country and really explore unique venues that aren't traditional, right? They're very cozy, they're very cool, they're unique, and you want a location that not only meets the logistical needs, right? We're not talking like, let's just get a projector and a screen and we're in a room with chairs and a table. What can it look like to find a venue, to find an environment that meets all of those logistical needs, but also sparks creativity and relaxation? So one time we had this client and they were hosting an executive retreat in San Diego. And initially they're, of course, this is what people do, and it's okay. We see this all the time. They're looking at your typical hotel conference rooms. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. But after we, met and we had conversations, we helped them think a little bit more outside the box, because there's something different about getting your folks outside of the typical conference room that's a little sterile. It's got the bright fluorescent light, and almost always it's freezing because they've got the AC plastic. But to think about a different location that maybe was tucked away in a quiet, nature-filled part, maybe a little bit outside of San Diego, and it was surrounded by greenery, and you still could go to different places, the different places that you need, maybe dinners out or whatever it was, but it was just far enough away to spark a lot of that creativity. And the feedback was truly amazing. They felt more creative, they felt more connected, and really left the retreat with such a clear vision for their next quarter's goals. So think about that. The power of selecting the right venue, and when done correctly, it completely transforms the retreat experience. And this just goes above, aesthetics. It also shows that nature can boost cognitive function and creativity by up to 50%. So at FeelSwell, we really specialize in nature-focused retreats because we know firsthand that when you have nature involved, it's going to boost that creativity. It's going to have massive effects on the way that we enhance dynamics within your team, but also promote well-being. Now, another key aspect where outsourced planning really shines is that the ability for you to come in and share your vision, and then for us to tailor that entire experience all the way down to from the venue, all the way down to the gifts, the custom gifts that everyone receives. Every company is a little different with unique goals. You've got challenges. Everybody's got their challenges. And then you have your team dynamics on top of that. And a one-size-fits-all approach doesn't really work. You can go and trust me, we are definitely probably not the right fit for you if you're looking for, hey, we just want a bunch of activities. We curate the entire experience from A to Z, looking at how do we plan each activity and make sure it blends with the content that you have and all the aspects, not just let's add rock climbing, let's add kayaking, back to back to back, and we're just doing things. Every single thing that we do, we customize it with intention to align with your company's specific objectives. So whether it is, and I'll give you some ideas, whether it is focusing on leadership development, maybe it's improving communication, or simply just giving your team time to recharge and bring in different aspects and elements of wellness, we're going to design that entire experience to make sure that every single minute of your retreat is working towards those goals. So this could be anything from, like I said, those carefully chosen team building activities. Maybe it's a mindfulness session after a really hard strategy session that you've created with the team. Maybe it's wellness workshops that fit, or even strategy breakouts that get your team aligned and moving forward together. It can look in very different ways, but all that matters is that we have a specific objective and everything is tied back to that objective. So when you want to incorporate, let's just say, a wellness component into your retreat, while also focusing on long-term strategic planning. So let's just say this is your summit or company kickoff in January. We can craft an agenda that starts with morning mindfulness. Maybe it's a little hike or nature walk, depending on where your team's at. We meet you where you are. And then followed by the workshops in the afternoon that are really designed to integrate the insights that were gained during those hikes or that nature walk into the strategy session. So when you do that and you see that you've really been intentional about what you combine, it's a really beautiful experience where people go, I do feel more aligned, and they really know that they can connect back to the different aspects and not feel like the whole day was just soaking up information, and they can't even think, right? Ever been back, at a conference or an event or a meeting, and you took in so much information that all you need to do is go back to your hotel room and just lay down. It was just too much, right? We don't want that effect. We want to create things that your team would say, I would pay for that on my own. That was amazing. That was so fun and really adds such a unique experience. And I think too, like I keep saying this, when you outsource, you release the stress. Corporate retreat planning, it really can be stressful, especially when it's done in-house. And that's just from, coordinating venues, managing schedules, ensuring everyone's needs are met. I mentioned dietary restrictions. That's not your job. That's not your wheelhouse or your specialty. And it can feel like a full-time job within itself. So when you outsource your retreat planning, you're offloading that stress onto people who do this for a living. And this allows your internal team to really stay focused on what they do best. So, the American Institute, they found that 80% of workers feel stress on the job already, right? And 50% say they need help learning how to manage it. So when you add, another responsibility to someone's role already, they're already stressed. And this is another layer where they have to perform and they have to make sure all the things are perfect. And they may not want to do it, they're taking it on, but they may also not know how to do it effectively. So you're not just alleviating the stress of the event management, you're also really taking care of your team's mental health by providing them with a very well organized, enjoyable experience that everybody's going to be talking about for months. So, and then lastly, when you go on this experience, there's always the follow-up. A well-planned retreat doesn't end when everyone just goes home. That's the truth, right? You don't want to just have that experience for 2 days and then go, all right, well, back to normal life. It's really essential to evaluate how the retreat went, what worked, what didn't, how it impacted your team. And we don't just disappear after the event when we plan. We help you gather the feedback and measure the impact of the retreat on your team's performance. And this helps you refine future offsites, whether you want to work with us again. Most do, because they see how easy it is. But allowing yourself to see, hey, can we do better than the last one? And that's the truth in events, right? You always want to try to do better than the last one. So let's wrap up here. Outsourcing your retreat planning isn't just a luxury. It's a very smart investment that saves your company time. It's going to reduce a lot of stress for your employees, and it leads to a better turn on investment. So whether you're doing the venue selection, you're looking at all the different elements, taking that off your plate and outsourcing it to professional planners like us to ensure that your offsite is not only a success, but really delivers that long-lasting benefit for your team. That's the goal. We want this to go as far as it possibly can. So thank you so much for listening today. I hope you found today's episode helpful. If you are interested in exploring how outsourcing your retreat planning could benefit your team and boost productivity, please reach out to us at FeelSwell Experiences. You're going to see in the description here, you can book a call with our team, and we would love to help you make the next retreat that you plan the best one yet. So thank you for listening, and until next time, take care.